I was thinking about Eric Heiden and what he did in the 1980 Lake Placid Olympics and what he did with the rest of his life. And in doing so, of course, I ran directly into the so-called miracle on ice, when an underdog team of U.S. collegians defeated a Russian team that was considered vastly superior and a lock for the gold medal. I figured I'd better watch a broadcast of that game. The Russians beat the Americans 10-3 in an exhibition match shortly before the Olympics. They toyed with us, one U.S. player said. They also took 2 of 3 games from an NHL All-Star team. If there was a vulnerability in the Russian team, it was because they were so good. They won every time they played, and they were expected to win. They showed no emotion, even when they played brilliantly. They were expected to play brilliantly, nothing less. It's a terrible position to be in, when you have everything to lose and almost nothing to win. Funny things happen to teams that cannot lose. And a funny thing happened to the Russians at Lake Placid. For one thing, the American team wasn't bad. They weren't a bunch of chumps. And getting pounded 10-3 gives you an added incentive to play a better game. And they were young, and being young, too stupid to know they were supposed to lose. Also, I don't know what effect it could have, but the last time the Americans won a gold medal in hockey at the Olympics was 20 years earlier, in 1960 at Squaw Valley, which at least makes me wonder about a home ice advantage. But anyway you add it up, it was an astonishing upset victory, if not a miracle. The Americans were in the unusual and enviable position of being the apple-cheeked underdogs, with nothing to lose and everything to win. And they did that, coming from behind against enormous odds to win. The Russian team, to their credit, lined up stoically and waited to shake hands, while the American team in the arena went wild with celebration. The Russians already knew something about that, upset victories, in another sport, basketball. Basketball became an official Olympic sport in 1936 in Munich, which is when Jesse Owens became the Eric Heiden of his day. Of course, the Americans won all the time. They were undefeated in Olympic play. They'd send a team of college all-stars, future pros, and they'd crush other countries where the national interest was more in avoiding hunger and disease than in hitting 15-foot jumpers or making tomahawk jams. 1972 would be no exception, even though Bill Walton turned down an offer to play, pouting, I think, because his UCLA team had lost the national championship to NC State. In the gold medal game, the Americans trailed the Russians right up until the end. With 3 seconds left, Doug Collins was fouled on a layup attempt and was given 2 foul shots. He made them both, giving the Americans the lead 50-49. What happened next is still in hot dispute. The game had, I think, 3 different endings and 2 different outcomes, with the Russians scoring on the last full-court attempt to win, 51-50. The American team refused to accept second place, claiming the referees had cheated them out of a victory, and they spurned the silver medals, boycotting the award ceremony. For this, they are regarded as either staunch champions or pathetic whiners, depending on which outcome you favor. Regardless, it was a day that was as bitter for the United States as that day in 1980 was glorious. And just as the Russians returned to dominate the next 4 Olympics in hockey, so the U.S. took steps to see that it would not lose in basketball ever again. The top college players won as expected until they finished a shocking 3rd in 1988 in Seoul. So they figured, fuck this, and they sent a dream team comprised of the top pro players to Barcelona in 1992, and they thunderdunked the rest of the world, sending the resounding message that the United States would never again lose in Olympic basketball. But funny things happen to teams that cannot lose. And there were NBA players from other countries by that time. And in Athens, 2004, the United States once again finished 3rd. It's a blessing to be able to field the best team, but it's a miracle to produce a good squad that no one, except themselves, gives any chance to win. Real athletes know that if you can play, you have a chance. All you need is that chance. That's the miracle.